Right now, in 2026, retailers are pushing Mini LED TV deals so aggressively, it almost feels like a trap. 65-inch screens under $1,000. Brands you used to distrust suddenly showing up on best of lists. Prices slashed 40 to 60% off suggested retail. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a voice is saying, this cannot be real. Either the TV is garbage, or I'm missing something. You're not missing anything. But you do need to know where the value stops and where the gamble begins. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which Mini LED deals in 2026 are legitimate and which ones will cost you double in 2 years when the backlight gives out. Every pick on this list was chosen on one criteria only: what does it deliver versus what does it cost, and how long does it actually last? Not what the box says. Not what the deal banner screams. What it does in a real living room, year after year. If you want a list you can trust, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a like so this reaches people before they waste money on the wrong screen. Comment below and tell me your budget, your room setup, and what you watch most. I read every single comment. All current prices and direct links are down in the description, updated regularly. Check those after you finish watching. The TV that makes $900 feel like you robbed someone. The Hisense U8QG, 65-inch, $898. 3 years ago, a Mini LED TV at this price point would have had 300 dimming zones, a mediocre processor, and panels that bloomed badly around bright objects on dark backgrounds. The U8QG has over 1,500 local dimming zones, 1,200 nits peak brightness in HDR, 4K resolution at 120 Hz, HDMI 2.1 on 2 ports, Google TV platform, Dolby Vision, and HDR10 plus support. Let that land. Is the local dimming perfect? No. There is visible blooming if you watch dark scenes with small bright objects, a candle in a dark room, stars in a night sky. Is the audio underwhelming for a TV at this price? Yes, if you're listening for it. But here's the thing. Nobody buying a TV at $898 is comparing it to a $2,000 Sony. They're comparing it to other $900 TVs. And at this price, the U8QG is not competing, it's winning. Who it's for? Anyone upgrading from an older LED TV who watches sports, daytime streaming, or mixed content in a room that gets sunlight. Who should skip it? Dark room cinephiles who need precise shadow detail with no compromise spend $300 more. The reliability question nobody wants to answer out loud. Before I go further, here's the data the deal sites won't show you. Hisense sits at roughly a 20% 5-year failure rate in owner surveys and stress tests. TCL lands at 12 to 15%. Samsung sits at 8 to 12%. LG sits around 4%. Sony leads at approximately 3%. That number matters more than nits. A TV at $898 that fails after 18 months cost you $449 per year. A $1,200 Sony that lasts 7 years cost you $171 per year. The deal is only a deal if the panel survives. My neighbor Marcus runs a small business from home, TV on all day for background news and market data, bought a budget TCL 6 Series 2 years ago when it hit $549. He called me 14 months later and said, backlight started pulsing on the left side. Warranty's expired. Repair quote is $250. Should have spent $800. That's the math nobody prints on the deal banner. The TV that fixed the budget reliability problem, the TCL QM8K, 65-inch, $999, marked down from $2,499. That 60% price drop is not a gimmick. It reflects real inventory pressure. TCL is moving 2025 stock to make room for newer panels, and the QM8K is the beneficiary. 2,000 local dimming zones, 1,500 nits sustained brightness, 4K at 144 Hz, HDMI 2.1 across all 4 ports, Google TV, Dolby Vision 1Q. Is the TCL reputation from 5 years ago, inconsistent quality, unreliable firmware, still following this TV? Yes, the reputation follows them. Is the QM8K actually that old TCL? Not close. Not debatable. This is TCL's flagship engineering, running a processing chip that was inside $2,000 TVs 2 years ago. TCL's 5-year failure rate is still higher than Sony or LG. That's real. But the QM8K ships with a 2-year parts warranty, not the standard 1 year on budget models. That gap matters. Who it's for? Sports fans and gamers who want 144 Hz and massive brightness without crossing $1,000. Who should skip it? Anyone who wants to buy once and forget about it for 10 years. Go Sony or LG. The panel lottery warning: here's what the deal sites call minor inconsistency and what owners actually call it: dirty screen effect. That faint, patchy brightness variation across flat gray scenes, sports fields, sky shots, title cards. At budget price points, it's a manufacturing reality. Hisense and TCL both show higher rates of DSE in owner forums than Samsung or Sony. The fix: test it in the return window. Stream a sports broadcast within the first week. Watch a sky-heavy travel documentary. If you see it, exchange it. If you don't, you got a good panel. The TV that belongs in a different price tier. The Samsung QN90D 65-inch, currently $850 to $950 depending on retailer. This TV was $1,400 5 months ago. It is now $850 to $950 depending on where you look.
That is a $400 to $500 real-world.
That is a $400 to $500 real-world price drop on a television that professional review sites, the ones measuring TVs with calibrated equipment, not just opinions, consistently rate is performing at the $1,200 to $1,400 level. Neo QLED panel, 1,000 nits average brightness sustained, 4K at 120 Hz, 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, Tizen Smart Platform, object tracking sound plus anti-reflection coating that actively reduces glare rather than just filtering it. 5-year failure rate, meaningfully worse than Sony or LG. Yes. Is this model the weak link in Samsung's lineup? No, the QN90D has fewer reported capacitor and backlight issues than Samsung's budget Neo QLED tiers. But here's the thing. Samsung's warranty support is documented to improve significantly on flagship versus budget lines. If something goes wrong at month 14, you're not fighting alone. My coworker Deanna, floor-to-ceiling west-facing windows, bright room all afternoon, had been avoiding every TV recommendation I made because of glare, bought the QN90D on my suggestion. 3 weeks later, she texted me. I stopped closing the blinds. I forgot I used to do that. The picture looks better at 2 p.m. than my old TV looked at midnight. Who it's for? Bright room households who want Samsung build quality without paying flagship prices. Who should skip it? Anyone planning 10+ years of ownership without any service? Go Sony. The TV worth every dollar it costs. The Sony X95L, 65-inch, currently $1,100 to $1,200. Sony's roughly 3% 5-year failure rate is not luck. It is the result of a processing chip, XR cognitive processor, that actively manages backlight heat distribution, reducing the thermal stress that kills panels at 18 to 24 months in budget sets. The X95L runs 1,000 nits peak, genuine full-array local dimming, 4K at 120 Hz, 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, Google TV, Dolby Vision, and an anti-glare coating that measures significantly better than Samsung's equivalent spec on paper. This TV should not exist at this price. The X95L 2 years ago was $1,600. At $1,100 to $1,200, you're getting Sony's reliability engineering at TCL's old price point. Is it cheaper than the Hisense or TCL? No. Is the price per year cost lower than both of them across a 7-year ownership window? Yes, if the failure rate data holds. Who it's for? Anyone who wants to buy once, set it up, and think about something else for the next decade. Who should skip it? Anyone under a strict $900 budget, the Hisense U8QG is your pick. Budget ladder? Under $600, Hisense U6N. Mini LED panel at $499, 120 Hz, Google TV. Best in class at this price. Best for anyone leaving an old edge-lit LED behind. Skip if darkroom movie watching is your priority. $600 to $900, Hisense U8QG. 1,500 dimming zones, 1,200 nits, 2 HDMI 2.1 ports. Best for sports fans and daytime viewers in bright rooms. Skip if long-term reliability matters more than specs per dollar. $900 to $1,000, TCL QM 8K flagship processing, 144 Hz, 2-year warranty. Best for gamers and sports fans who want maximum refresh without crossing 1,000. Skip if you want zero reliability anxiety. $1,000 to $1,200, Samsung QN90D. Anti-reflection coating, 4 HDMI 2.1, documented flagship support. Best for bright room households wanting Samsung engineering below flagship prices. Skip if you're planning a decade plus of ownership. $1,200 and above, Sony X95L. The answer for reliability. Full stop. Best for anyone who measures cost per year, not cost at checkout. Skip if budget is the hard constraint. So, manufacturers want you overwhelmed. They want you walking into a store or scrolling a deal page at midnight, seeing words like Neo QLED and Mini LED Quantum Matrix, and shutting down. Because a confused buyer is an easy buyer. They grab the familiar brand, pay a price that feels like a deal, and go home with a TV that fails at month 22. 1 month after the warranty expires. The real question in 2026 is not which Mini LED deal is the most impressive spec sheet. It is this: how much does it cost per year of actual use? A $500 TV that lasts 2 years costs $250 per year. A $1,200 Sony that lasts 8 years costs $150 per year. The deal is in the denominator, not the sticker. Know your room. Know your use case. Know what you actually watch and how you actually watch it. Then spend accordingly. Not more, not less. If this list helped you find your TV, share it with someone still deciding. You might save them from buying the wrong screen. All current prices and direct purchase links are down in the description. I update them regularly. Subscribe for more content that cuts through the noise. Comment below, which TV on this list are you going with? Or tell me your budget, and I'll tell you exactly what to buy. I read every single comment. See you in the next one.